If you've been following the channel for a while now, you'll know my BMC hill climb machine has been one of my biggest projects I've been working on over the past year or so, with the true desire to get this bike down sub 5 kilos. But it is not going to be an easy task. In the end of the last video, I actually unfortunately still failed to go sub 5, and I managed to get the bike down to around 5.2 kilos, which I have to say is pretty incredibly light and feels like an absolute rocket ship to climb on. But crucially, it is still not clocking in at under 5 on the trusty Park Tool scales. So in today's episode, I'm going to be going to some pretty extreme lengths to get this bike down under the 5 kilo barrier. So let's find out what upgrades I've got in store. But quickly, before we do any upgrades, let's see what the starting weight really is. Quick disclaimer, before we get started, I can't guarantee that no bikes were hurt in the making of this video. These weight saving hacks are about to get pretty extreme. Before doing any upgrades, we're currently sat at 5.18 kilos. So to get us started, I'm going to be focusing on the handlebars area of the frame. And of course, at the end of last video, I promised you if we hit that 1,000 like mark, I was going to be chopping the drops on this bike. And of course, you guys absolutely destroyed that target. So unfortunately, it's a sad day to be a drop handlebar. We're chopping these drops off. But while I'm at it, I've got one other little upgrade to make. And as I mentioned in the last video, the clamps on my Ultegra shifters are currently made of steel. So one really common upgrade people used to do on their Ultegra shifters was swap to some titanium Dura Ace clamps, which you could buy separately. Back when all these parts were really expensive new, it was quite a big saving to go with Ultegra shifters plus Dura Ace clamps for almost the same weight. But now these old Di2 shifters can be had really cheap second hand. So compared to spending 50 quid on some titanium clamps, I had a search around on eBay and managed to pick myself up a pair of Dura Ace R9150 shifters, including the titanium clamps, for just about 80 quid. Now they're not in the best condition in the world, but they feel feathery light and will nicely replace my Ultegra shifters. So yeah, let's get started tearing down this front end, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to redo all the brake cables, which would be great fun. Right, that is these crazy lightweight bars off the bike. Now, to chop the drops, I am gonna go outside because I don't want to be breathing in loads of carbon dust. In order to work out what we're saving, we do need to establish a bit of a before weight. 141.2 grams. So these bars are already crazy light, but they're about to get lighter. RIP. Well, it certainly feels light, but to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like the ends have reduced the weight by that much altogether. Okay, we're back at the scales to find out, did chopping these two bits off here save much weight at all? Yeah, 33 grams. You can't sniff at that. That means in total, our handlebars are looking at just shy of 110 grams. And crucially, that's 33 grams out of that total 200 grams I've got to save to crack the 5 kilo mark. Now, the next thing to find out is just how much weight our Dura Ace shifters are going to save off the Ultegra shifter, and if it's all accounted for by the clamping band or whether there's more to save than just that. So the Dura Ace shifters together come in at 231.13 grams, including bands. In comparison then, my Ultegra shifters with sort of half upgraded clamps with titanium bolts, just the shifters 268.9 plus the two clamps 259.2. So that's over 60 grams there. So that is a huge, huge saving. And I'm so glad I did pick these shifters up, as clearly the weight saving is not just in the clamps, they're actually just all round lighter. So yeah, let's get them wired up on these bars. And as I'm doing this, you may notice I'm not putting on that carbon out front mount again, as yeah, I've taken all your advice and I'm gonna go for just one of the simple rubber band mounts. You were all right, they are so much lighter. And if we're going sub 5, we're gonna need all the help we can get to get there. I might have to get some new hoods for these though, because these are a bit grim, these old ones. To save myself a bit of effort and a bit more weight, I think I'm only gonna connect up one shifter, as I don't need two shifters. Just that one will do. And also, because I've got this bar end one, I'm going to hope I can jam it in the end of this bar. Or maybe this is something I'm going to have to use the 3D printer for. That fits actually really quite well in there. So yeah, not perfect, but it is steaming to hold pretty well in there. Pretty jammed in, so I think that'll be fine. Now to just try and stash away some of this loose wire here. And it's time for the brake cabling. And there we have it. Gears and brakes are all set up and looking really slick. Even if I'm still not sure I'm a fan of the chop drops look, it is super, super light. While I'm at it, I'm going to throw on one of them little rubber band mounts for my Garmin onto the top of the stem, and let's get on with the next upgrade. So the next thing I want to do, which is making me rather nervous, is drilling out the rivets on this front Mech mount, because I'm never running this bike 2x again, so I can get rid of this mount. So, got the trusty drill, and I'm going to drill out all 4 rivets on this mount, so hopefully I can remove it nice and cleanly. And there we go. Mech mount off. So yeah, that front Mech mount came off pretty cleanly actually. I'm quite impressed with how well that came off. And it's got some weight to it, you know. So yeah, let's get this on the scales and see what wrecking the resale value of my frame has done to its weight. Was it worth drilling my frame for just 7.5 grams? You'll have to tell me in the comments. Next up, a nice quick and hopefully easy upgrade is swapping out this seat clamp. I've got myself a lighter one of the same design in theory from AliExpress that we're going to see just how much weight this can save and whether it even works. Old seat clamp then, 18.5 grams compared to the new one, 12.4 grams. So a very modest, but you know, real saving. The final upgrade today is one that is maybe slightly unnecessary considering I have only just upgraded this part in episode 2, but equally one of the craziest upgrades yet. And that is this hooded, I think that's how you meant to say it, crank set. And yeah, from the spec sheet, this thing seems crazy. They're claiming in a 170mm length, this is a sub 300 gram crank set. And the best part, I think this set me back less than 200 quid on AliExpress. So about the same as that big rock crank set we used last time, but potentially around 50 grams lighter. So yeah, let's get this thing unboxed and see if it can live up to its crazy weight claims. It is the standard 24mm titanium axle crankset that is popping up all over AliExpress, except for this one is incredibly light. And it also came with a nice little carbon spider, which as this is a cinch style mount, I'm gonna have to use because I can't use my direct mount chainring on this. So it won't be quite as light as it could possibly be, but I still think this is gonna save a ton of weight. What does it weigh in at? I am so excited for this. The cranks themselves in 170mm are just 285 grams. That is getting on for like THM levels of light, and is way lighter than any of the other carbon cranks you generally see from China, like the Cybery or the standard Alili one. I know Alili do a stupidly light version, but that costs about £1,000. This I think cost me about 200 quid, so yeah, 285 grams for that weight, pretty phenomenal. Looking pretty smart so far. So the total crankset weight, including chainring and all the hardware and adapters, we're looking at 380 grams for a complete crankset, including chainring. That's pretty wild if you ask me. Let's rip the big rock off the bike and see how it compares. There we go, the big rock crankset, which definitely was not a heavy crankset by any means. Let's see what weight we're saving here. So compared to the 380 grams with the hooded, the big rock is clocking in at 427 grams. So we're nearly saving 50 grams. And we still haven't optimized this fully with a direct mount chainring, which I think will make it even lighter down the line. And there we go. Sorry, really loud free hub on these wheels. So that is the crankset all installed and ready to go on the bike. And I think it looks actually really quite good on there. But I think we're just about getting to the time where we're gonna have to throw the whole bike on the scale and see have we cracked the 5 kilo mark. And now it is time for the bit you've all come to watch this video for, where I grab the trusty parts tool scales and see just how light have we made this bike. And I can tell you now, it is already feeling feathery light. I can't believe just how light I've managed to get this. Considering for all the parts you can see on the build right now, excluding all the bits I've taken off as they weren't light enough, I reckon it's only cost me maybe 1,500 quid, which considering, yeah, I'm hoping this is going to be under 5 kilos, is pretty phenomenal. Right, without further ado, let's get the scales on and tared, and let's get it on there. Yes, let's go. 4.98 kilos. We've done it. We've broken the 5 kilo mark. Whoa, that is a relief actually. I don't think I have many more upgrades I could possibly think of without starting to sand down the frame, and I really didn't want to do that. So I'm so relieved we've managed to crack that 5 kilo mark. I guess that's project done, isn't it? And yeah, now we've finished building the bike, I've got no excuses now. I've got to get out and give this bike a real good testing in the real world. After part 2, as you've probably seen in the channel, I took it up when it's passed to see how close to the KOM I could get. And unfortunately, I didn't have the best day out ever. But I'm going to be taking my sub 5 kilo version back out to some epic climbs. Now I know that sort of 200 gram weight saving isn't going to make a world of difference, but hopefully my form is improving and we're going to see, can we take some exciting KOMs or at least get super close? Let me know what climbs you want to see me try this bike on in the comments, and as always, get yourself subscribed, or if you want to support the channel and get access to videos early, join channel membership where you also get to vote on what AliExpress part I check out next. But until the next video, I'll see you all soon.